my fingers, no better photos of you. I never know if you tell me go for good, want to do I should.
Hello beautiful and creative people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah, if you're new here, welcome. Hi, next weekend is a special weekend for me because it's my 30th birthday, and I think the most important question here is, how could this happen? And how could this happen so fast? Where are my 20s? Oh gosh, okay. I'm quite excited and a bit scared, but I think probably nothing will change. So but yeah, from today, my perspective from like now is that I'm excited. And since we're still in lockdown here in Germany and literally everything's closed and we're not allowed to see a lot of people, so obviously I can't celebrate with my friends, I thought that I make myself a dress to reward myself for the past 30 years. And it will be a wrap dress with puffed sleeves, and I thought that I show you guys how I do this. And if you like this video, it would really mean the world to me if you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, for now I say I talk to you soon when I'm 30. Yeah, take care you guys, and lots of love from Munich, and I see you on the other side. To create my pattern for the top piece of my dress, I used a blouse, a wrap blouse I already owned as reference, and for that I marked all the important points, like the beginning and the end of the shoulder seam, the beginning and the end of the armhole, and I made little dots, and after that I just connected them. And yeah, that's basically it for the front part of the pattern, as you can see here. And after that I of course went in and added some seam allowance. And after that I folded my parchment paper in half, and as you can see here I am drawing the shape of my back panel. And I basically did the same thing as for the front panel. And here I'm connecting the dots, drawing the neckline and the armhole. And after that I of course went in and added my seam allowance. And for the sleeve I just mapped out the shape, the rough shape. And then for the armhole, what I did was I pinched my fabric with my fingernail onto the parchment paper, and then I folded over the fabric and made little dots, and then I connected them, and I had this beautiful curved shape in the end. And of course I added seam allowance to my sleeve. And this is what you got in the end: your back panel, your front panel, and of course your sleeve pattern. But of course, if you don't have a reference blouse like me, you can just take an old shirt that fits you well and fold it on the upper point of the shoulder seam diagonally, just like that. And I mean, the back panel is quite self-explanatory. You just follow the lines of your shirt and you're good to go. And after that you are left with something like this: your back panel and your two front panels. And I started by roll hemming, or making a very small rolled hem on my diagonal sides of my front panels, and just stitched it in place with a straight stitch. And after that I also realized that my armholes weren't big enough, so I went in and adjusted this by making them just a bit bigger. then also hemmed my neckline, and after that I started to connect on my 3 pieces, and I did this by clipping the shoulder seams together as well as the side seams, and then went over everything with a straight stitch. To create my puffed sleeves, I had to gather the fabric on the top of my sleeves, so I went in with a straight stitch without backstitching, and after that I pulled the top thread to gather my fabric, and after I was happy, I just double knotted my threads to secure everything. To attach my sleeve to my bodice piece, I first of all searched the center point of my sleeve to connect it to the shoulder seam. And then I went in and attached my sleeve right sides facing to my bodice part, as you can see here. And I clipped it together and went over it with a straight stitch. And of course, after that I had to close off my sleeve, and for that I turned my fabric inside out so that the right sides were kissing, and I clipped everything together and sewed it with a straight stitch. To create the skirt part of my wrap dress, I took my hip circumference and multiplied it by 1.5 to have the width of my skirt. And yeah, the length is very individual. I mean, you can make your dress as long as you like. And here I already went in and hemmed all my lines. To fit and connect the bottom to the top, I used the width of my bottom piece minus the length or the width of my top piece and divided this by 4 so that I had the measurements for my darts. For me this was 7 centimeters, and since a dart consists of 2 sides, if you will, I hope this makes sense, because you're folding your fabric, my dart or both darts were 14 centimeters wide in total, but I measured 7 centimeters from the fold. I hope this makes sense. And of course, to figure out where to sew my darts, I took the width of my bottom fabric and divided it by 3. And if you've never sewn a dart before, I'd recommend to not sew on a too sharp angle. And when you arrive at the end of your dart, you don't want to backstitch. Instead, you take your threads, your loose threads, and make a double knot. After that, my bottom part fit my top part perfectly, and I clipped everything together and connected both parts with a straight stitch. was time to create my ties, and for that I cut out 2 long pieces of fabric which were 3 centimeters wide, and I just folded them twice and went over everything with a straight stitch. And of course, to wrap my tie around my waist, I had to make a little hole in my side seam, and I seam ripped a little hole open, and after that I went over with my sewing machine on both ends of the hole to secure everything. And then I attached my ties to my dress. And to finish off my sleeve, I folded my fabric once about 1 centimeter, and after that I went in again and folded my fabric again to create a tunnel for an elastic which fit me snug around my bicep area. And I sewed everything together except for a little hole for my elastic. I then used a safety pin to thread my elastic through the tunnel I created, and after that I sewed the ends together. And to sew my elastic ends together, I went in with my sewing machine and sewed a couple of times back and forth. And then all that was left to do was to close off the hole, and my celebration dress was done. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I talk to you soon.
I never know, tell me go for good, want to do I should.